Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Past Blaster Cast. My name is Jones. I have my friend Rich with me, and we are about to take you across the web of the universe and back, as always. Roll the intro music.
Past Blasters in the fucking face.
Man, I love that song.
And that is just wonderful. Every single time it gets me.
So here today, we have a real expert with us. It's a real treat. And many times on this podcast, we have someone who can do one thing, who can do something else. This man is actually a bit of an anomaly. Not only is he a history professor at UC Berkeley, but also he is a world-renowned Indiana Jones impersonator. They actually used him as an extra in all of the movies. So here we have with us Jacob. You want to say hello, Jacob, to the audience?
Oh yeah, that's me, Jacob. I love this.
Welcome, Jacob. Thank you so much for being on the Past Cast. We are about to blast you into the next dimension.
I love being blasted with the past.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
So we might start it off a bit light here. We're just going to sort of talk about general, history. That's the reason we're really all here, is that we just love history. We
gotta
love
start from
things
the
and-
beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Now,
Of course.
Jones and I, we're just podcasters. We're not exactly at the same level as you are. So we
Right.
want to sort of talk about some things that have happened in the past, sort of ask some viewer questions, see what's going on, what you have to say about some of these events that we'd all would love to know more of.
All right. How past are we talking about? Because I know a lot of things about history, like even back when the dinosaurs were alive. I played Animal Crossing, so I know about dinosaurs.
That's great to hear. Well, we have
Very,
quite a
very
wide
great.
range. I mean, there's the entirety of the past to look from and choose from, and so we don't really even have to restrict ourselves.
And we have documented things from the past. We have predicted things for the future. We're pro-history documenters, just total buffs. And we're ready to take on any question that a viewer has. And if you are, then just let us know and we can begin.
Oh yeah, I love viewers. They have good
So
questions.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I have my first question. This is actually I'm going with a personal question first. So I heard on truthlink.biz, it's a website I read, I get my news from, that the Mayans actually predicted 9/11 5,000 years ago, even before George Bush said it happened. Can you talk a little bit about how they might have done this?
Oh well, the Mayans were really good. Obviously, they were smart, as well as .biz websites. It's a great TLD. You should always get your news from those. But the Mayans, they were really smart, because you got to think, like, they have 5 letters in their name, and 9 and 11 both don't have 5 letters. So how they knew, obviously. And George has 5 letters, so he did 9/11.
Absolutely.
Undisputed fact.
It's great to finally get that settled. I see lots of people saying one way this way, one way the other way. Looks like we now have the definitive source. Someone call CNN,
Absolutely wonderful, Jacob. I have one from your mom, actually, frequent listener of the Past Blaster Caster. As I'm sure you're aware, I don't know if she talks about us
She
much.
puts up posters up, yeah. Loves this one.
Yeah. The nudes. Does she have the nudes calendar?
Oh, she has the nudes calendar, actually.
Well, that's just wonderful. She had to ask, "Hey, Jacobs, haven't seen you in a while. How are you doing? Welcome on the cast. What was your GPA in high school that led you up to your future? I forgot. I don't have the documents at home anymore. Love, Mama Jacob."
See, we don't have the documents because I burned them, actually. Because my GPA was only a 3.9, and I just didn't think I was good enough. I worked really hard to get into every college in the world, actually, and I got at least a 4 at all of them, so yeah, that's how I know so much about history. Even though I never took a history class, I learned about other things.
So what brought you out of that drought of having such a low GPA?
Dude, a 3.8, honestly, who could handle having a 3.8? That's not even 10.
Despicable.
Disgusting. Yeah.
Well, glad to get that cleared up. Next, we actually have a question from my dad. And he says, "Hey, Rich, I don't have any other way to contact you, so please listen to me. Your mother and I haven't seen you in 5 years, and you ignore all of our calls and messages. Please, we just want to be a family again. Thanks, Dad. Well, that doesn't seem like much of a question for Jacob, so maybe we can skip over that one.
Yeah, that's okay if we skip that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
Clamwald's
see.
there. They're falling apart.
So let's go to let's take it a little back. We've been talking about some somewhat recent history, the Mayans. Let's take it way back to the Cretaceous era, right when the dinosaurs first started evolving. So let's play a little game with this one. It's called Dinosaurs at the Same Time. We're going to list 2 dinosaurs, and we're going to try and we're going to ask you if they appeared at the same time in history or not. And so it's a bit of a game show type of game segment we're starting with.
That's right.
It's exciting.
Can I start off?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, ready? Brontosaurus.
Yeah. They're cute.
All right, let's give another one.
Yeah.
Laryngosaurus.
Oh,
What do
they
you
were
think?
definitely together. They fucked.
Why do you say that?
That seems a little rude.
I'll
Well,
have
actually,
this podcast is PG-13, so
Oh,
you can
I'm
only
sorry.
say that once. You
Yeah,
already you
we've
used it
already
one
used
time.
we've already used it up.
I'm sorry. I should have
Well, we've
allocated
already
that
used
for
it
you
up,
guys.
so you
It's
don't need
okay.
to be
Yeah.
sorry. You just need to not say
Yeah.
it.
All right,
Yeah,
I will definitely
just
not
need
say
to
that.
not
Just so
say
you
it.
know, you can only say it
Yeah.
once.
Well, Laryngosaurus. Yeah, that was a really cute dinosaur. I actually forgot the first one, but I'm sure any dinosaur would go.
Brontosaurus.
Oh, Yeah, the Brontosaurus would definitely be down.
Is it true that I heard that the dinosaurs were actually birds? So is it true that all the dinosaurs could just fly around and they might not have even been on the ground if they were birds?
Oh, a lot of the dinosaurs, yeah, they totally did soar in the sky. Not all of them were that special. Not everyone can be that special.
Have you seen the dinosaur history report where they have the dinosaur in the cave and he walked into the cave and that's why they're fossils? Because caves collapse and then that's what morphs the bones to be fossilized because of the cave, the pungent cave odor and aura in the cave.
I mean, this is just so. I'm sure you know this, Jacob, but he's referring to the cave collapse theory we recently published in the Journal of Cave Studies. It was back in, I think, 2017. But
Very fascinating.
there's sort of some skepticism between some of the older age historians on the East Coast and then the more new age sort of neo-archaeologists on the West Coast. And that a lot of people disagree with the cave theory on the basis that it seems like it's just a micro scale version of the tectonic plate theory, and a lot of people disagree that these macro and micro components really behave the same in the same scenarios.
Well, they do it on molecular scale. And that's the only thing that contributes to fossilization, at least for the first, multiple thousand years.
Well, as we know from physics, molecular scale things and quantum scale things and macroscopic scale things don't always quite align up how we expect them to. So while it's definite evidence, I wouldn't say that it's enough for me to, drop down my money and buy a lottery ticket on it.
Well, I'm waiting for your counter theory because those were just published, 6 months ago? And you haven't even started a hypothesis. I've seen your workbench.
Well, I'm more a fan right now of the prevailing old hypothesis.
Mr.
That is-
Clamwald, do you
that
know
is
the
outdated.
scientific method?
Yes, I'm familiar with it.
Have you used the scientific method in your studies? Because it sounds to me like you're all over the place. You're doing step 3 before you even do step 1.
Well, right now, the cave collapse theories are really at step 1. They're just forming hypotheses. There remains to be, large tests with particle colliders and cave collapsers before we can really even start to verify a lot of the claims that this theory seems to impose.
That's so troubling when the caves, they already collapsed.
Well, cave collapse itself can take many thousands and thousands of years. It's not exactly something we can just go outside on a winter Sunday and watch with the movies.
But back in the dinosaur times, when they had these towering, very large, massive scale creatures, when you're stepping on something that has such a vast opening to it, maybe it would cause more of a collapse because more weight is being distributed onto it.
So, okay, this is a common misconception. So the caves back then, yes, were much larger. They generally had more mass. But back then, due to the solar drift, the planet Jupiter was actually a lot closer and drew some of the gravity away from Earth. So what we think of now is like a pound of weight. That's a kilogram for all you British. They're the same thing. What we think of now as a pound of weight was actually a bit closer to about 0.86 pounds back then. And so a lot of the calculations of cave collapse and things like that, they're sort of estimates. They're a bit off the cuff.
But
yeah, NASA proved that.
It also ties into the fact that so many people, all these dumbasses out there, just thinking that dinosaurs could fly and be birds. It's because of the solar poles that were happening with Jupiter. I agree with you there, but that's why people thought they could fly. They could not fly. That's not the facts. The fact is they were just way more floaty than us.
What do you mean in water?
Not in water, but in airspace too. And in the aerosphere.
Oh, I understand totally. Because when the cave collapses itself, it has so much air to push, and that just floats them up into the air.
And they're taking up so much air being in the cave, the greater energy pulling around them from the molecular scale. That's just so much to combine itself with the dinosaur in the cave, and that's how fossilization occurs at a base level. And that's the whole point of the theory, but me and Rich have been arguing about this for weeks now.
Yeah, it's kind of become an in-joke in that we can't get through a dinner conversation without talking about cave collapse.
It's true.
Interesting. Good aerodynamics there. I like it.
For now, we can sort of agree to disagree, but I think it'll be resolved one day. There just needs to be more testing. Look, I'm not saying that cave collapse is false. All I'm saying is that there needs to be greater evidence, maybe some tectonic shifts that we can observe, maybe some sort of if we see trapping of neocarbons inside of pockets of crystalline inside of the caves, that would be a pretty sure indicator. But as of now, a lot of the results on this are coming out of some third world countries where they don't have microscopes to actually figure out what these chemicals are. They just kind of look at, they say greenish blue, maybe this is a crystocarbon, maybe this is krypton, it's a little hard to do. It's a little hard to trust, in my opinion.
You're speaking a lot of fancy jargon, and I think you're just not understanding this at a base level, but that's okay, Rich, I respect you as an individual. It's fine. We can agree to disagree on this. At the end of the day, we share the same phone and we go on the same subreddits. We're not too different than each other.
Mm-hmm. And we live with each other's sisters.
That's right.
Everyone on the podcast knows this.
Oh, actually, from the countless stories that we've told. How could they not?
It's coronavirus right now. We're all social distancing, but
yeah.
Jenny right now, I'm on the top bunk. Jenny's down below. I'm trying not to be too loud because she's watching the new episode of Stranger Things. So she tells me to be quiet. She might, or else she'll come up and hit me.
Sorry, Jenny.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, Jenny. What if
Shout
you guys
out to Jenny.
swap sisters?
We've thought about it.
I mean, we're already living with each other's sisters. What do you mean by swap?
Yeah.
Yeah, what if you just were like, wow, I have a hot sister, but you could swap sisters, and then you have a hot sister.
I think he means swap as in change the characteristic features, accessories, glasses, haircuts. I think that's what he's trying to say.
Well, I mean, we're not really. It's not really about the physical appearance. There's nothing weird going on here. It's just Jenny's here. She does my cleaning, my cooking, my laundry, and in return, she gets the bottom bunk, and I have to get to the top bunk. And a lot of people might say that's an unfair trade, but really, it's pretty convenient to have the top bunk or it's pretty convenient to have the bottom bunk. My apologies, because the stairway on the ladder up to the top bunk is actually always covered in butter. We could just never get it off, no matter how much we scrub. I have a lot of pancakes up there, and I'm a really messy eater. So a lot of times I come home late at night. Maybe I was a little tipsy out of the night at Friendly's with the boys, and I'm just trying to climb up this. I'm trying to climb up this ladder, and I'm just slipping and slipping. We don't have a carpet on the floor. Our floor is actually made out of gravel because that's just what the house came with. We were getting the floors, the previous owners were getting the floors redone, and they just kind of quit in the middle of it. So just this climbing up this buttery ladder, falling on the floor, it's pretty horrible. We wanted to decide who would get the bed. Ultimately, I decided that I would, and in return, Jenny just acts as my personal maid, and we think that's a pretty fair trade. You know, we would shake on it. We would shake on the agreement, but you know, my hand was covered in butter, so we just kind of did a little nod.
That sounds like a good situation. How do you feel about butter versus shortening? Since you're such a pancake connoisseur, it sounds.
Well, it's true that maybe if I was shorter, I could grip onto the rungs a little better because my feet and my hands would be closer and provide a closer grip. But as of now, I think it's not too bad. You know, the top bunk isn't too far from the ceiling, so I can at least still kneel on my knees. Mm-hmm. So I probably wouldn't want to be too much shorter if I had the option, but maybe 1 or 2 inches at most. Or I could just start wearing flatter shoes. Now, my apologies, Jones knows this, but I'm always wearing shoes all the time.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. It's just one.
I'm in the room right next door, so I see glimpses.
Yeah, and he can hear as I roll around in bed at night. I'm always rolling into the wall and screaming.
Because there were two rooms in this apartment. One of them was the bunk room, we call it, and that's where Jenny and Rich stay.
The other one's the
other room. Right. The other room's the bathroom. So we kind of have to coordinate.
Mm-hmm. And so Jones and Margie, my sister, they stay in the bathroom together.
Right.
That sounds like a good arrangement you got going on there. Yeah. Do you have a timesheet for the bathroom?
No, I'm just here sitting in the shower. Yeah. The curtain acts as a really good echo cancellation type of noise shield. Mm-hmm. Super nice.
If someone needs to take a shower, someone needs to do their duty, we just we find that a closing the eyes system tends to work really well.
Right. And it's also, you're never too far away from the public baths. They have them in our street corner 7-Eleven. So whenever we, have a house party or something, housewarming gifts that people were giving us, maybe we can unwrap those in the 7-Eleven, maybe just walk the 5 minutes and just suit yourself.
Yeah, 7-Eleven, it's a great place. I always wash myself in the 7-Eleven. It's because I actually don't have a bathroom. Couldn't afford
really?
one,
what's your living situation?
Oh, I live in this giant mansion, but it costs so much that we just couldn't have a bathroom, so they took it from us.
So where do you go to the bathroom?
Wow.
Oh, at 7-Eleven. I love 7-Eleven. I have a rewards card there for every time I go to the bathroom. They actually don't like me very much because I always,
How far away is it from your house?
It's a little far. By the time you get there, you're going to need a shower. So it's always pretty convenient anyways.
Do you drive or walk or?
Oh, you walk. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can't afford a bathroom, you can't really afford a car.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Our 7-Eleven, it's nice to go to the bathroom there. Sometimes you want a little peace and quiet. They don't officially have a bathroom, but one of the freezers in the back, they tend to keep the left side of the shelf kind of unstocked, so you can slip in there and get some bottles of water poured on you. Maybe leave a little mark on your territory in the corner, if you know what I'm saying. And they haven't caught us quite yet. The security cameras don't reach that part of the store, so it's a really good solution.
They have very convenient drains in that section. Makes things real easy.
You just water it down with a couple Gatorades, and no one will notice.
Maybe slip in a Corona.
Absolutely.
On the topic of Corona, you guys like a lime in yours? Or lime guys?
Jamaican imported lemons, actually.
Oh.
They give me the best tangy taste that I'm looking for.
Jones, you are such a scholar. It's really impressive how much you know.
Yeah, I know so many things. That's why I started this cast with my friend. Even if we have to live in these conditions, it's worth it. We're very close with our sisters, just about cuddling nonstop.
Entirely
Can knock
platonic.
on each other in Morse code on through the walls. Very strong, kind bond that we have.
We actually invented our own type of Morse code so that the government couldn't spy on us. So the people upstairs are actually a big band of 12 FBI agents that all live together. And so we were a little afraid that if we knocked in traditional Morse code, they'd be able to uncover it. And let me tell you, we talk about some absolutely messed up, completely illegal stuff. Lots of our
That's right.
lots of things about the dark web sessions and stuff
We have
like
a
that you don't
separate
want to know
router, just VPN to the brim for our Tor connections that we have. We have some Bitcoin in our account.
Some Bitcoin. Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty expensive these days.
We have like a handful of Bitcoins.
Bitcoins, multiple.
say.
Wow.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
should try.
I don't know if that's
keep a
information you
little,
wanna
little
share.
hush about this.
Yeah, I'd keep real hush about that. I'd have at least 3 more VPNs if you're going to talk about your Bitcoins.
Well, we vowed, to be completely honest on this podcast once we started it, because history, the facts are important. So we strive very hard. We take lots of notes all the time to make sure that the information that we're presenting is completely accurate and, will not dissuade anybody towards any opinion. We like to keep it unbiased.
Oh, yeah, you won't want to share any fake news with all those FBI agents, because we all know that the government hates fake news.
Yeah, and we tap some stuff just to see if they're listening sometimes, just to test it. And we've had some interesting results. I think they've cracked our Caesar ciphered Morse code. So
Yeah, well, so we have
always
to
have
be
to update it.
always constantly updating it like a machine.
We do a
just going code after
DNA.
code.
We do DNA injected firmware updates, because you can inject with CRISPR. You can inject memories straight into your brain. So we can just update the same part of the brain via needle, and it makes the Morse code just very easy to understand and to execute like right away.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah, I've seen the studies on the CRISPR. It's real innovative technology.
Yeah, that's actually how I got through high school. I was a lab rat, and me and the psych people that were testing on me illegally made a deal, and they put all the test answers for every single possible test on like a little, think smaller than a micro SD card, just injected it right into my brain, was able to ace it. It gave me terrible screaming terrors whenever I would try to sleep, but it was worth it in the end.
It's a good trade-off for academics, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah, you got to really just choose what matters and what doesn't. So let's talk a little bit about history in the news. So everyone knows this. Recently, they have announced they're adding some new events to the Olympics. A lot of them
That's right.
that some people are saying sort of go in the face of the spirit of this sport.
Very controversial.
Very controversial. So for one, they added the watermelon slam, where you take a watermelon and then you need to find a little girl between the ages of 12 and 14 and just slam it on her head as hard as you can. And the longer she stays knocked out, the more points you get. And a lot of people have been saying that this isn't what, this sort of goes against some of the origins of the Greek mythology in the Olympics, because the Greek god Dionysos actually died because of getting watermelon slammed in the mythology. And
Right.
a lot of people see this as sort of disrespectful to just recreate this.
I mean, those were in the neo-mythical days, but people still get hung up over it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would say it's quite honoring, actually, to look back on his story and try and recreate that today. Shows how good his story was that we would need to keep going with.
As someone,
It's an ancient sport. People don't really understand it in the modern climate.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I somewhat agree. There are a lot of events that are sort of making waves here. So I heard, for example, they're removing the running portion of it. They're taking away the running, and now they're actually making it so that you have to run backwards. Otherwise, it doesn't count. Because the idea is that people have been running for so long. We're not really setting any records anymore after Usain Bolt just broke all of them.
Right.
And so now they said, okay, well, we're done with the forward running. We fixed it. So pretty much we got to move to backwards running now. There's still a lot of space to expand in that territory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can get some good Olympics out of that, really, because who's ever practiced backwards running? That's just totally counterproductive.
I mean, the Olympians, like the people that are still, like with the last name of Olympic, that are still alive today, they've actually endorsed this and went as far as training their children to be running backwards for this new multi-generation craze that they've been predicting from this new event.
Real
Yeah,
forward
absolutely.
thinkers, yeah.
There's also the elevator race where everyone stands at the bottom of a large building, usually generally 50 to 60 stories, and they click the elevator down button, and then one person rides in they do a little coin toss, and one person gets to ride in the elevator. The other person has to race the elevator all the way up to the top. And if you race the elevator up to the top, you get a gold medal if you win. And if you lose, then you have to run all the way down and up again 3 times.
And people have been giving this one a lot of flack, but it is created by one of the great-grandchildren of the creator of basketball. So people are thinking that this will, give a good switch up to things. And, we haven't had a new sport, a new main sport in forever. So
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, the elevator race has really been taking off in a lot of parts of Southeast Asia and Europe. It's just now starting to make its way to the U.S. I actually heard recently that my daughter's high school is now getting an elevator race, so they're building the elevator building right now.
Right.
Though it's going to take a while, probably 30 or so years before they really get the plans done. There's been a lot of issues with sewage leaking from the top stories, and so they're kind of having to restart from scratch.
There's been many suicides over DIY builds as well, so people are staying away from that.
Yeah, definitely. Elevators, they're real tough to make. We haven't got a good elevator in years in our great United States, so I don't know how Europe always has these elevators that work correctly.
It's kind of tragic.
Yeah, it really is.
The other new event is, I think, the first time we've seen math implemented into the Olympics. This is the human dice. So it's a duos event. 2 people each get into life-size dice and get thrusted off of an electronic diving board set to max speed, and whichever number is displaying in the body of water is the total. And you want to always go for 2 6s, and you only get 1 body movement after you've hit the water. There's like detection all over. Complete skill and luck sport. People are betting over it. It's become a problem in Vegas. They have their own human dice. That's where it originated, was in Vegas. You would dare your drunk friends, hey, let's go to the human dice. Let's see who can win. And then next thing you know, you and your family and your next door neighbors are gambling to see who can get the number showing highest. It's kind of crazy. And they're finally adding it to the Olympics.
Yeah, this is actually one of the least controversial ones. Pretty much everyone's been asking for human dice to be in the Olympics forever. It's been in the mainstream for a long time.
Several movies.
Lots of people know that Jimmy Kimmel was a human dicer before he got famous. Brad Pitt has been a notable human dice activist, trying to get it spread out to all schools. He sees it as a human right.
Oh yeah, it's good to get Vegas representation in our world. You love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
Who would have known you would have grown up in Vegas?
So overall, with all of these new additions, what do you think? What do you think about the fact that a lot of people are saying it's sort of breaking the spirit of the Olympics? That the Olympics really has already progressed too much. We should go back to the old times when they would just get naked and cover themselves in oil and run around and just hit each other and throw up everywhere and
Inflatable
slip and
beds.
fall, and they would let go of horses and they would wrestle the horses, and that's really what the Olympics is all about. A lot of people are saying that's just that's essentially the perfect representation of really what Greek culture is. And now that we've whitewashed the Olympics, we've made it all about these, dice. We've made it all about these elevators. We made it all about basketball and hockey. A lot of people are upset about it. They've been upset for a while about the direction the Olympics is going, but this has really been the tipping straw and the point. So what do you really think about this, about the sort of clash here between history and progress in the modern era?
Well, Mr. Clamwald, I have a very big take on this. So the Olympics has been going so long, so long. We've always had evolution. If someone wants to make their own Olympics, that's like the olden days, they can make their own Olympics called the Olden Day Olympics. It's right there for the taking. We've already progressed so much. Why stop now? We should be evolving more. We should get rid of all the old events and just make new ones. Basketball? No. No, we don't do basketball.
I think that's a pretty reasonable suggestion.
Yeah.
They don't even play basketball in Greece anyways. They only play that
what
in
about
America.
the javelin race?
Interesting. We should keep the barbaric events. I love that. I love to see some good old human hatred towards each other. Actually,
What about the Mega Block stacking tournament?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. I think we'd have to have a good council vote on that one. But really, actually, I think that's talking about barbaricness. Really, human dice is one of the most hardcore sports of all. Because you think ruining someone's wallet through betting, that's way worse than hurting them physically.
What about Super Monkey Tennis in the Olympics?
I prefer Super Monkey Ball for the GameCube, but it's okay.
Yeah, it is on the GameCube one.
Yeah,
It is. Super Monkey Tennis is on the GameCube one.
What are your thoughts on? So they recently said that one of the games which people were voting for, they had a little online poll on their Tumblr page. One of the recent the ones that didn't quite make it into the Olympics was the Starburst Smash, where you have to run to the nearest 7-Eleven, buy all of the Starburst, and then eat them all within 10 minutes. And a lot of people been training sort of preemptively because this was basically assumed to be a shoo-in. But then actually the CEO of PepsiCo decided at the last moment to file a copyright strike. And they weren't allowed to call it the Starburst Smash. They would have had to go with some sort of off-brand like bottle caps or Hubba Bubba, Jolly Rancher. And a lot of people felt that would just kind of ruin the spirit. So it was basically dropped entirely.
Totally.
Yeah.
How dare Pepsi do this? I used to practice that every day after middle school. Like, Starburst are obviously... Oh, yeah. Starburst, obviously the superior candy. Do you want to eat bottle caps? No. Like, obviously Starburst is the superior candy.
So
I've heard
a lot of stereotypes against Smashers, and I've heard a lot of people online call them, self-centered and shoplifters. If you have a platform right now to speak up about it, if you think that maybe Smashers have been getting misrepresented online.
Oh yeah, you could call me a shoplifter, definitely.
So you think that this is it's a pretty accurate representation?
Oh yeah, I love shoplifting.
Well,
Interesting.
There you have it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it from the comments online, it sort of seemed like a mixed anti and pro shoplifting. Of course, all of the shop owners are all up in arms about it, like they always are. But a lot of the people, recognize that shoplifting is just a really good way to get free stuff, and you can't fault that.
It's right.
Yeah, free stuff's great.
That's right. Because you can go in there, maybe 7-Eleven has a hot dog on the burner. Hey, owner, what is this thing on my phone? Show him a hypnosis video. Just starts, his eyes are moving all wacky. He doesn't even realize I've already taken the dog and the stock out of the back and just left out the back door. Very simple.
See, the thing about the hot dog is actually, I don't know if you guys heard of the term no free lunches. I wouldn't steal the hot dog. I've got standards. I'd shoplift the whole store though. I just leave the hot dogs behind.
They actually had free lunches at my school.
Really?
So I don't know if that quite makes sense.
We went to different school.
We did
Mine
go to a
had
different
paid.
school.
Mine had paid lunches. PBJ's $150.
Well, mine had paid lunches in the main lunch section, but the trash cans out back, there were a lot of kids who just half ate their lunches and threw it away, and it was perfectly fine.
I mean, they would put
So that was the
meal
free lunch.
replacement.
That was the free lunch section.
They would put the meal replacement bricks in the dust of the playground. So when people would face plant, like they would have to skip out on lunch that day.
That sort of makes sense, I think. We didn't quite have that kind of playground equipment. In fact, we didn't actually have a playground at all. We just had a big hole of dirt. There was a bulldozer out there. They would bulldoze it all the time, just dig a big hole, and the kids would just come in and dig and fill it all up every single recess. And they always got really mad because they were trying to build a new bathroom out there. They're trying to build a public bathroom. And they would always dig the hole to put the sewage tanks, and then the kids would run out every recess and just play in it and cover all the dirt back up. So that was a bit of a prank we played on the principal until one day just got fed up, and then they covered the children in there and suffocated them. And then our school got shut down. That's when I transferred to your school and met you.
Right, I remember that. I remember when we met, but I don't remember any of the playground wars that you're describing.
Yeah, I didn't really like to talk about it much at the time. It was still sort of a sensitive topic. Margie made it out, but Samantha, my other sister, is still underneath that public bathroom, just rotting away in this new sewage tank to this day after she got buried by dirt.
Did they not give them ventilators?
No, they were just buried alive like animals. You could hear their screams as they were being covered up, and they poured concrete over them. And then they dug up the concrete and made it into a sewage tank.
Is that why you always act like you have sisters when you're talking about the fact but you only have one sister?
That's why I still set the plate every time I'm making a can of mac and cheese. Every time I'm grilling up some spindlers for a big steaming plate, a big steaming bowl plate, whatever I'm feeling that day. Fork, knife, whatever comes out of my mind. I always cook up an extra plate for Samantha.
Oh yeah, that's really hard.
Just in case she comes back home.
Can we have a moment of toast for Samantha?
Actually, I'm all out of bread.
Yeah, I don't really have any on me, so.
Oh shit, can't do a toast then.
We ran out to the stores. We tried to stock up on bread before the podcast. It's our favorite snack. As I'm sure you know, it's the logo.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
The brand we get is called. We only really get one brand. It's called Thunder Bread. Right.
Yeah, and that
sounds good.
They were all out at every Target in the local area, and also like at least 4 of the Targets we went to all had riots going on in them, like people dressed out full anthro, just hammering the windshields in of all of the cars in the parking lot, screaming, people shooting AKs just into the glass displays and the PS4 counter.
Well, imagine not getting your favorite bread. Wouldn't you shoot the place up too?
I mean, I don't think these people have anything to do with Thunderbread.
Well, that's disappointing.
They've had shortages in the dog section of Target, so maybe it's related to that. I've seen some people in costumes. Don't really know what that's about.
The dog treat section has been bone dry, if you excuse the pun, for weeks and weeks now, and everything has just really been ramping up. First, it started with the defecations in the aisle. Then it started ramping up to the kidnapping and mutilation of employees, and then finally they just had enough and they got in their suits and went there themselves and started yelling.
Mm-hmm. Yelping, if you will.
Yes.
Was it primarily men in these riots?
Sometimes we can't tell.
It's impossible to tell. Dogs don't have genders, so in the suit you can't tell. Anyways, we're getting a little too into current events here.
Sorry about that.
So we should probably bring it back to what we're all here for, which is history, right? We have the perfect opportunity to talk to a master history, the personification of a past blaster, Jacob, esteemed professor. So let's do that. Let's talk about history. Let's ask some of those questions that we've always wanted to know.
Oh, thank you, Rich. Do we have any other viewer comments or questions about history?
We have plenty, actually. We have a huge backlog on Twitter that we could really never get through, but we can try.
We also have a live feed. If you go to the HTML Dropbox link that I sent you, you can see anyone using the current hashtag. People know our recording schedule, so you can see it right now.
Oh, that's exciting. I'm glad people are using Twitter for history.
Yeah, it's cool, but just try not to look at it because we're talking about we want to talk about history.
So
Craig, cut this out. Cut this out.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And we're back. So let's talk about some viewer questions. So here we have one from Nathan G. That's G. His last name is actually G-I-E. It's not the letter, although it could be the initial as well. You know what I'm saying? So Nathan G says, "Hey, Past Blasters. I have a question for Jacob. I just heard in my history class that they recently found out that actually all of the pictures of Napoleon, all of the paintings were wrong, and Napoleon actually had dreadlocks, and he always wore sunglasses, or at least a primitive version of sunglasses. So why is it that in all of the history books, they traditionally paint him as just wearing this funny hat, eyes wide open type of guy?"
Oh, yeah, man. I'm sure he also heard in the history classes that Napoleon was short, and all these not pictures, obviously they had no pictures back then. Any history buff would know that. They were all paintings. And as they were painting him as this taller figure, they also painted him as a more normal person, because they wanted Napoleon to be something that anyone could be, as a good role model to look up to. And, Jamaicans and anyone else who might have dreadlocks, they not usually someone to look up to. So at least in that time, now we really aspired for it to be Jamaicans, but back then they weren't so normal.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Jamaica actually was established after Napoleon's reign, and it started as just a colony of Napoleon impersonators.
That could be, and it would only have been a small colony at that time, because really not many people could see Napoleon himself.
So
why?
Well, there were no pictures. They were just the paintings, and he was a very busy guy. He was always in meetings and deadly battles, so even if you did see Napoleon, you were likely going to be killed anyways.
Wow.
Either by the battle or by getting bored in the meeting, right?
Oh, yeah. Am I right, businessman?
Speaking of impersonators, let's actually shift it a little bit. I know I've been saying we should go back to history, but let's shift it a little bit away from history. So most people know you not as Jacob, the esteemed historian, but most people, those who watch the John Mayer show, those who check the YouTube trending page, they know you as...
Night Brawl.
Exactly. They know you as Jacob, Indiana Jones too, the Indiana Jones impersonator. And we've seen your Instagram story. You spend lots of time hanging out in Harrison Ford's bathtub, even when he's not there. You're in the ring
sometimes, even in the ring sometimes, counting off people at WrestleMania, just giving it your all with the whip action.
Oh, boys, I don't mean you already tooted my own horn, but I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I've been voted favorite character on WWE multiple times through their Tumblr polls as well. Yeah, it's because I'm such a good Indiana Jones. Yeah, I might as well be the real Indiana Jones, but it would make the ratings too high, actually. We got to keep some ratings for WWE.
I voted back before Tumblr took the poll service down. You guys had to switch to Twitter. But yeah, I was a common voter. I I actually wasn't into you as much at the start, but I was kind of like a Joker fanboy because all of his funny lines and he would swear. But you won me over with your classic whip action, and you look so much like Indiana Jones that every time you're on the ring, I'm so immersed.
It's
like I'm watching the movie.
What can I say? Yeah,
it's kind of indistinguishable. I know that you must have been shocked when you saw that movie because Indiana Jones basically just dressed up like you do every single day. But for Harrison Ford, of course, it was a costume. But for you, it was kind of a lifestyle.
Yeah, obviously the Indiana Jones, like the books and the screenplays were all written, but when they were doing the costumes for the movie, really they just had to take one look at me and stole my closet. I was actually compensated in new clothes for that movie.
Ah, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Insane.
So, what kind of events and things have you been to as this Indiana Jones impersonator? I know you've flown all the way around the world to corporate events, to hot tub jamborees, to special wild lion hunts and things, as all kinds of insane events as entertainment. Do you have any crazy stories about a specific event you were invited to because of your Indiana Jones expertise?
Specific event. Wow. That's a real tough one because there's been so many, bachelorette parties and zoo days. Yeah. My favorite event might actually have been during the Comic-Con in Dallas, Texas. As you know, there's Comic-Con for everywhere, but the Dallas, Texas Comic-Con, crazy one. They actually, the boulder, they recreated the boulder and they had me run after it. But obviously, that's not the Indiana Jones, the real one. I'm just number 2. The boulder actually was too fast for me. I got crushed. They had to take me to the hospital. Comic-Con got canceled that year and the next year.
Wow, that really is a crazy story. I definitely remember hearing about that one. I was actually at the Comic-Con. I remember seeing that boulder fly by, almost crushed my feet.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
It was that quick.
I
couldn't really see it.
I still, it's forever ingrained in my mind. Just seeing you on the floor and that just a mush of bloody pulp, crying for help with your jaw just detached from the rest of your skull and your eyes leaking out. And I know you still wear an eye patch to this day, and you got to put in the glass eye for the impersonations, but generally you prefer the eye patch. And I got to say, I thought you were a goner at that point. I mean, that was to me the second time that I ever thought I saw death, after the death, of course, of my sister and my other colleagues back in high school.
Yeah, there was not much hope. Yeah.
So J2, I'd like to just bring up, you're here today to promo your new YouTube series you're doing in the Indiana Jones costume, or sorry, I probably shouldn't call it a costume. Just, you're doing your own, you're being yourself on YouTube. You've been doing creepypasta game Let's Plays. You've been getting a lot of traction with that. People are loving it. If you want to just go into how you play the character, how you hype people up in the live streams with the bits and the chats, how that's been treating you well as your job. I know you've said it's your main source of income now. And also if you just have any promo things or links you want to throw out there.
As being enough of my main sort of income, I really have to make a big disclaimer, not playing a character. It is really me. If I were playing a character, the Indiana Jones Film Company themselves could sue me. Just want to make that disclaimer. Just me, no character. But yeah, no, it's great. I was actually really inspired by Some Ordinary Gamers with his creepypastas back in the day. Really, creepypastas, I think they're the superior form of anything aside from podcasts, obviously.
I've actually been getting a lot into scary pastas recently. Have you heard about these? It's a new form.
Pastas. Yeah. Well, creepypastas themselves, I mean, they're creepy, but not
yeah,
really scary.
It's kind of the next evolution of scary pasta, or of creepy pastas. My bad.
I saw it was so scary.
It's a bit of a mix of the old genre and the new. There's still these sort of cool stories you read online, but they tend to be a lot more pornographic and hosted on adult sites, and they tend to have a lot more visual imagery. Especially explicit visual imagery, and there's been a lot of collaborations with actors and actresses in the adult industry, and so it's kind of a mix of these two sort of previously disjoint communities, and I think a very natural way.
Let me tell you something about that, Rich. I actually, considering the adult sites that these were hosted on, it actually got me back into Minecraft Let's Plays because they're all over adult sites now, and it's crazy to hear about, but they really are. But yeah, no, you must be a real man to be able to handle the scary pastas. It's such a strange world out there. They are terrifying.
They're quite something. They're definitely a lot scarier than creepy pastas, but it's kind of hard to go away because once the rocks start tumbling, once I got the rocks the rock's going. It's hard to stop the tumble, and you should know that better than anyone as an Indiana
I
Jones
know all about
person
the rocks
after having
tumbling.
gotten
Yeah.
crushed.
Yeah.
You introduced me and Jenny to the turtle scary pasta, and that was our first one that you showed us. And the terrors were definitely brought back for several weeks after that one. I had to close my eyes whenever I was at class. It was so bad.
Yeah, absolutely. It was that one was really something. That one I still can't really think about without getting chills all over my body. And she now Jenny is mentioning me right now to keep quiet because she remembers that one as well, and she doesn't not want to hear about that one.
Is she foot nudging you right now?
Yeah, she's giving me the foot nudge. She's flicking me off. She's taking little thumbtacks and then sticking them in my thighs. You know.
What about Is she thumping?
Don't give her any ideas. I'm gonna hope she didn't hear that one through my headphones. All right. I'm not gonna say the TH word out loud right now because I'm so scared.
Sorry, buddy.
When
Sorry,
she
not
does
on the
that,
podcast. Not on the
podcast.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, can
Cut
you get a
that.
shout out for Jenny?
I don't know if she wants one. I don't know if
Yeah,
she wants one now.
never mind,
she's pretty
yeah.
private.
I mean, you do have open ear headphones.
It's true. I like to keep my headphones. They're sort of swivel. They're not actually designed to be open ear, but I like to swivel them outwards so they basically act as speakers right next to my ear. And I know Jenny will a lot of times she'll be telling me she was watching the episode of Stranger Things, and then she'll say, "Yeah," and then they started talking about Byzantine history, and it was a little weird. And I was like, "Oh, that was the podcast that you were hearing." She gets a little confused. She tends to think that Stranger Things is a history show because that's the only show she watches. So
Jacob, I don't know if you know about her condition. I don't know if it's really a condition, but she ate one of those mixed berries, one of those things that changes up your taste buds. So spicy things are super mega sweet, and milk tastes like carrot sauce. A bunch of weird flavor change combinations, and she got so shocked by it that a part of her brain just snapped and wired it so she mixes up everything now and thinks things are different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why she's hanging out with Rich, because she swapped brothers in her mind.
Yeah.
So we've been making it work.
And so
Wow.
Margie just kind of goes with it. It's been tough. There were a lot of changes in her body. All of her fingernails stopped growing, so she's really sensitive around those areas.
Yeah.
Now there are certain areas where her skin just starts turning black and then crusting away and falling off, and so she has to wear a lot of plastic wrap around it, a lot of parchment
Vaseline,
paper,
plastic,
Vaseline. Yeah, that's another reason why she can't really go to the top, because while I can the top bunk, because while I can deal with the butter, the combination of the butter and the Vaseline, as well as just the skin sort of sticking and ripping off on the ladders when trying to climb, was just not something that we really wanted to deal with, especially with someone with Jenny's condition.
And we always have to
certainly.
warn people when they're coming over to not use the green plastic cups, because we don't use this for drinking. It's after the brain snap, she produces 4 times the amount of saliva. So she's just constantly drooling like a large dog and just collects it in these little flasks, these plastic. You think they were cups if you were just getting water at our house, but really they're specially designed just to collect the most amount of spit per quota. So they work for her, and she's not too upset about it. But sometimes things can get slippery if she's drooling during a nightmare.
Absolutely. I remember the one first and last time that we had Craig over, because we had just released a big episode. This was the Obama episode. We got Michelle Obama on. Barack, he sort of called in, but it was through, he was FaceTiming in, and the connection was a little bad. The video was upside down, but we all made it work.
We had to switch to Skype for a minute, but yeah, it was fine.
But we were just celebrating this episode, and we decided, you know what? Craig does a lot of editing work. We don't pay him very much. We'll have him over. And then the first thing he did when he walked through the door is he said, I'm gonna get a little cup of water. And then he grabbed a green cup, and I'm sure you know what happened next. He started drinking the spit, and it took
poor
him
Craig.
it took him a little while to notice, but the second he noticed, he just started vomiting everywhere. All over. The fridge was open. It got all over the birthday cake I'd prepared because it was Margie's birthday, and it was such a whole hassle. We made Craig bake her a new cake, and also we each got $500 from him.
That's right. And he was also, you forgot to mention he was on a new antacid that his doctor had prescribed him, but he accidentally took 2,000 mg instead of 20 mg. He misread it. He has a condition where he adds zeros to things sometimes. So he took a ridiculous amount of antacid. So when he was vomiting, it was so acidic that not only did it slightly dissolve his throat openings, but it also marked a little circle in our plastic carpet that we used to have. We had to get a new one now, but it was quite the landmark and story to explain to people when they would come over for cast IRL.
The carpet incident isn't too bad. We actually got a much better carpet. It's made out of human hair, but it's a lot softer than the plastic one. The plastic one would get a little scratchy sometimes. It's the same type of plastic that they have on the bottom of cleats, so it would kind of dig into your feet like it digs into the grass.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I love human hair. Fun fact about Indiana Jones, actually, on the set, we used a lot of human hair for props. We actually...
Really? Is
we
that
stole-
is
we
that
stole
like for
children's
Chewbacca?
hair, yeah. Oh, definitely, yeah. Chewbacca needs
The
a lot
Easter
of human
egg
hair.
scenes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. The Easter egg scenes as well. Almost any scene. You can name it, and I can tell you how we used some human hair in it.
Do you have any comments on the Irish release of Indiana Jones 3 Temple of Doom? Do you have any thoughts on the DVD Easter egg of Chewbacca presumably getting mauled when his eyeballs being ripped off? If you input in 1 down, up, enter menu guide 125 on a Comcast Xfinity controller pointed with the IR taken off towards your DVD player?
See, it's a real tough call for me because I always support the director's cut, and I cannot believe Ireland themselves, Ireland the man, said that he would not take the director's cut. He wanted his own copy, but, you know, I think it's always good to have Easter eggs out there for the fans, of course, you know. It's not always easy looking into a giant production, so...
They say that's a reason why a lot of Irish kids have restrained from speaking in an Irish accent. It's because of how traumatized they were by seeing the Chewbacca snuff film from the special features.
Mm-hmm. I know with how rare this was to get. Now, I'm an Indiana Jones super fan. Everyone knows this. And I really felt like I just needed this Irish release for my copy. I had to see the extra special feature for myself. As any Indiana Jones superfan knows by now, this is extraordinarily hard to find. I actually had to end up getting it off the dark web through a criminal drug dealer, and he actually accidentally sent a bunch of cocaine first instead of the DVD, and I spent a good 6 months in prison for that before they finally realized what was happening, and we kind of laughed it off after that, but it was really a traumatizing experience.
We shouldn't have had our cops over for the unboxing episode that day.
Yeah,
obviously,
absolutely.
Indiana Jones is more fun than cocaine anyways, so...
True that. I still don't quite walk right after all the times I got beat up in prison and got my head swirled. I'm basically a fish. I could basically breathe underwater by now. But it was an experience in the end. Yeah, they called me Rich Gilly. They also called me Rich Clammy after my last name because clams are also underwater.
Mm-hmm.
Clams are indeed underwater. Yeah, you're right.
They would also... open you up and call you a little clam. I remember those stories.
That too. It was a bit of a that was a bit of a joke between us that it was kind of a Little Mermaid thing, and I was the little clam instead of the Little Mermaid, and they would pour chili in my hair so that my hair looked red, like Ariel. And
they would open your mouth up and go choo choo, and then put little toy trains in your mouth.
Yep. And they would get 4 of the guys together, and they would tape themselves up and with their 8 arms to be the octopus lady.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a bit of role playing. It was kind of a cool laid back prison. There were a lot. I
remember seeing those on the county jail live stream.
Yeah, absolutely. They had live streams going on 24/7 there, even in the bathrooms. I tried to kind of, there were some boundaries that that Jones and I wouldn't cross before. We tried not to see each other naked, but when you're being live streamed 24 hours a day, especially when they have the cameras just in the toilets and right there, the little sensor, little red dot sensor that tells you when you're done was actually a camera being broadcast. And so
they don't tell you right away.
Jones would pretty much be watching the stream at all times. And so
right, just to see if I could get any juicy content out of it.
I really have nothing to hide anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Really? I mean, isn't it good that Jones is such a good friend that he would check up on you while you're in prison? I wish I had a friend like that, friend like Jones.
Yeah, at first I felt a little violated by it, but I think in the end it's all good. And now Rich and sorry, that's my name. Now Jones and I, we feel a lot more open with each other. We're always just dropping our pants for fun, slapping each other around, lots of guy stuff like that. Whereas before we were a lot more reserved.
Slamming beers and copping feels, that's like a good Friday night for us.
Yeah.
You guys tuck each other in?
No.
Of course.
Oh. Wow, that's
What?
very conflicting answers.
What?
Rich, do you not like when Jones tucks you in?
Why are you denying it on air?
So, okay. If I say that Jones tucks me in, well, it's technically true. It's not quite. It's not as much of like a repeated thing. Generally,
do you not define the blankie exchange as tucking us in? Do you not? Because I think that counts.
I feel like the blankie exchange is really only 40% of it, and the other 60% is Jenny performing the actual tuck. She reaches her toes up, kind of pushes the blankets under the mattress for me, gets me that real tight tuck.
Jenny's been drugged up for weeks and been passed out in the corner, man.
She's been here all night. She's been kicking me and putting thumbtacks in my thighs.
When did she wake up?
She woke up about maybe 2 or 3 days ago. I know you haven't left the shower since then. You must be pruned by now. But yeah, Jenny was up. Jenny was up not that long ago. Then. Yeah. Jenny woke up 3 or 4 days ago. She's even starting to sort of be able to form sentences again.
Really?
So really a lot of
That's
progress.
Been years,
Good for her, yeah.
Dang. I should check up on you guys. I'm kind of glued right now. Me and sorry if this is too gross to say on air. Me and Margie have been doing some glue play lately, so it's gonna be a day or two before I'm able to get out of this super glue contraption that we set up in the shower. But when I can come over, I'll definitely say hi to her and
I could try and
see how Jenny's doing.
I can slip some matchsticks under the door if that would make it easier to break the sealant.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Can you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go grab them from the fridge after the podcast is done.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
So, I think we should get back to some viewer questions about history.
Oh yeah, we got a ton. We had a few on the feed that came up that I wanted to read one.
Oh, absolutely.
This one is from James Jancy, who's a big fan of you, Jacob. In fact, they started out, OMG, Jacob, I love you, hashtag Twitter fandom. I don't know what that means exactly. Maybe you know what that is, Jacob. And then she says, please, Jacob, tell me if the trolls from the Trolls movie are based on in real life. I've seen the movie several times, and there are a lot of allusions and references to the real-world counterparts, the Smurfs. Are they real, and are inspirations purely coincidental, or is this the real case? Love, Jake. I don't know why she put Jake at the end, but
yeah, James, Jake, whatever their name is. It's really, they might actually be pretty scared about trolls. They don't want to use a real name because it's as you know, if trolls were real, they would always show up at your house at night, and I think that's really a testament. Now that you've brought your interest in trolls,
you deny it outright.
I can't say anything for sure, but if trolls were real and someone were to write a question about trolls, bringing their knowledge on them to the public forum, Trolls would probably be at their house, and it is a she, so I would be extra careful if their trolls were at the house. They do really, they like humans.
But
trolls love humans.
Is it not true?
If they were real,
I was
of course, if they were
checking
real.
your tax returns, which you publicized on your website, and it seems like you have quite a lot of stock options in for the Trolls movie. So it seems a
of
little
course.
disingenuous to be coming on the podcast, making all these claims about trolls are real or trolls aren't to try and influence the stock prices.
Well, obviously stocks are never truly genuine. I mean, everyone plays their stocks
Are
differently.
you denying? Are you denying the stock investments because you have, like, not denied it outright, but you've alluded to it being false on Twitter several times. You had a few Insta posts about it with a middle finger thrown or two, riled up in this Trolls beef. But are you just outright saying, yes, you do invest in the Trolls?
I have previously, yes, invested in Trolls. You will notice if you look at those tax returns, obviously, it has not been from the current year. They're actually 2 years old, and a lot can happen in 2 years. I've learned a lot about the existence or non-existence of trolls.
How much money can you make off of a movie?
Well, it depends. How good's the movie? Can you make a good movie?
The one you're investing in.
Oh, the Trolls movie. You're not gonna make.
Or
much
is
out
the
of that,
movie
actually.
a cover-up
Yeah.
for the stock?
Or for the real
See,
trolls.
Because you were saying that it was real Trolls, but it's listed as Trolls movie on the stock price. It includes both the first and the second movie. It's people investing in it on the NASDAQ.
And the songs.
And the songs. The
soundtrack. Yeah.
But you're speaking like they're real trolls. Is this a cover-up?
No, the likelihood of the trolls being real is very low. It's lower than the stock price, actually, if you were to check.
See, here's what doesn't quite sit right with me about that. You can say the trolls are real. You can say the trolls aren't real. I don't see how someone could come up with such an incredibly realistic and cohesive universe just off the top of their head. Just make it all up and say, oh yeah, this could be real, but it's not. It doesn't seem like something that one person or even a team of people could realistically conceive of within several lifetimes. I don't know how that could be thought of. And yet suddenly it's just this nice movie, this self-contained world, which supposedly doesn't exist. It's bullshit. It doesn't make sense.
Well, no, have you two gentlemen seen The Office? Obviously, it's got the deepest story of them all. That was written by a team of people in an office. Just for,
Not familiar.
some sort of comparison. The Office, it's sort of a cult classic. Not many people have heard of it. To be
I heard
fair.
actually large parts of The Office were written not by a team of people, but actually by an artificial intelligence called Cleverbot. They had a lot of conversations. They would ask Cleverbot what to do next, and they would just put those lines in the show. So it was really only like a 60-40 humans to greater technology effort.
That's what people call it, a fake show online.
And it's part of why computers
excuse me.
featured so prominently in the Office environment, even though it was filmed back in the 80s.
Excuse me, Jones. I think we have a little bit of a discrepancy here. I thought you hadn't heard of The Office before, and now you have.
I go
heard of The
on
Office.
internet blogs. I thought you were talking about the other Office.
Oh, The Other Office, yeah.
In
I
Britain?
do love those internet blogs, yeah.
I didn't hear of that one. I heard of the other one.
I actually don't understand British, so I have not seen the British Office.
Well, it's your fault because you're saying it with an accent.
Excuse me. Oh yeah, my Australian accent. Yeah,
You were
from
saying it with
being
I think it's
Indiana
the impersonator
Jones.
rubbing off, and you were
Yeah.
saying I thought you were talking about the
I
other
tend
one.
to watch
I have
the-
no clue about the other one.
I watch the subbed version of the Japanese Office personally.
I actually been watching this. They made SpongeBob 2 now, and it's SpongeBob, but he's green.
I thought they did it a couple years back in the one where he's got the abrasive
No,
side.
He's still the
that's-
same
this
color
is-
there.
This
It's
is
the same
this
one.
is new. This is new. That doesn't count.
I
This
think
is
you
new.
might be thinking of Patrick.
Oh yeah, Patrick is green. I forgot.
And this is an underwater special, but most of the show is on land and even online. It's mostly like screenshots of forum posts that are just displayed using default iMovie transitions. It's really avant-garde and some of the best television I've seen on Nickelodeon.
Mm-hmm.
Do they use 007 Soundscape on that?
Yeah, I believe that's one of the
Yeah.
many tracks. They basically just took the first 10 tracks from the YouTube track editor, and they bought the rights to them and put them into the show, and just in sequence they just play all of them.
This has also been causing people to get copyright claimed on YouTube for all of the free songs because of licensing issues. They didn't actually specify it, but the royalty-free musicians assumed that they just wanted to. Excuse me. What did I just hear?
That could indeed be a little pupper. Excuse me. Obviously, SpongeBob's a superior animal.
We have a no animals policy on the podcast, so.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well,
Yeah.
okay, give me 1 second. I can indeed murder it.
It's a good thing that I had you completely muted because Jenny freaks out when she hears animals. She starts going on a
She
rampage.
flips her shit.
And basically she starts shaking the bed, and this bed is very, very tenuously put together. There's just a lot of duct tape and glue. We weren't able to use all of the glue because Jones here kept on taking it and gluing himself to my sister.
That's what got me into that years ago. But
I'm sure with all the butter, you'd fall right off the poor thing.
We were exactly. We were trying to glue the bed together. It was really hot in the room, so it kept on vaporizing. And then we just got this crazy idea to glue each other to each other's sisters. And from then, it was fine for me. But Jones really just took off with it and used the rest of the glue. And we never really are able to sneak any glue in here to complete gluing the bed together because Jones will just take it and go wild with it.
Guilty as charged.
But because
Jones,
of
that madman.
because of that, the bed is pretty unstable, and so if she shakes the bed enough, it'll fall down and crush her. And her face already looks like one of those Persian cats because the bed has fallen so many times. But it's still, reasonably convex, so we're trying to at least keep it that way.
Any dog, any cat sound, especially any frog sound, bullfrog sound, most animal sounds heard through Rich's open ear headphones just set her off like a fire alarm. So, we would appreciate it. If it happens again, that's okay, but you're paying the bill for the new bunk bed. I have an Amazon link on hand.
Oh yeah, those bunk beds are expensive. They are indeed expensive, I understand.
We usually get the cheapest one, so it's actually not too bad. But maybe it would be better in the long run to actually save up and get the triple bunker, which is made with reinforced steel and dragon's bones. But as of now, we get the ones which is actually made with a lot of really taped together and glued together popsicle sticks, repurposed popsicle sticks. It's really
great
cheap.
For the environment.
They don't even clean off the popsicle from all the children that ate the sticks, so the bed is kind of constantly damp and sticky and smells like fruit.
Sticky's not a problem.
Yeah. It gets pretty buttery anyway, so the sticky quickly goes away for slippery. But often Jenny will wake up and just a bunch of fruit juice will have leaked into the night on her face.
Mm-hmm. We call her a little popsicle girl because she looks like she has just attended a fan Blue Man Group meetup.
Mm-hmm. At least one of the most recent bed was from a blue raspberry batch.
Right.
What are your favorite popsicle kinds? Maybe you could make your own bunk bed.
Big shooters are like the ones that they have around here. I don't know if that's a local thing, but yeah, they have them in all different varieties and flavors. Even fudge flavor.
I'm a bit of a bigger fan of the greeny creamies.
Those are good too. Yeah, I don't know if you call those popsicles, but those are good.
Yeah, they're not quite popsicle. It's kind of a mix of like a popsicle with like a spicy sriracha outer layer. But I think regardless, I would say that they personally count. The ice cream man sells them. The ice cream woman does not sell them, but she also doesn't really sell much ice cream anyways. I mean, she's also basically sells melted oranges. She just grinds them together with all of the rinds as well. and just sells it and says they used to be ice cream, but it melted. But everyone kind of knows it's not. And she's extremely racist. She will only serve
Super racist.
those of Hispanic descent.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else is just completely turned away with
I've
lots of
gotten
slurs that
rocks
we.
thrown at me.
I would tell you one of the slurs she likes to throw around, but unfortunately we already used our one F word, so we can't really.
We can't
do
say
that anymore.
anything else.
We can't say anything else.
We have sponsorships on this. Speaking of which, we haven't read the read yet.
Oh yeah. So Jacob, we sent you an ad read through the official podcast portal. You should see
through
it.
the UI portal.
You should see it through the UI CPN portal. So we've got an ad read that we sent over to you. So do you think you could read off the ad?
Oh yeah, definitely. I logged in there earlier. I'm on it.
Awesome.
Yeah. When tell me when you'd like me to read that off.
Just go for it now.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
We're good.
All right. Yeah. Well, today we have a beautiful sponsorship from Kirby themselves. They're making a new Kirby game. It's coming out any second now. Literally, I have no idea. Go to your local GameStop. It'll fucking be there. Oh, excuse me. It was in the ad read.
Yeah, it's fine. It's in the ad read.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's in the ad read. It's all right. Yeah.
And
But yeah, they're for at least $1,000 a piece. So the resale value is gonna be real high. All the streetwear people are into it because it was about their childhood, and yeah, it'll be there.
yeah, it's going to be a new great Kirby game. This one's called Kirby's Courageous Blast. It's about Kirby's long struggle with depression. Actually, most of the game takes place of a conversation between Kirby and then evil Kirby in the mirror. And the game deals with a lot of really hard hitting scenes of suicide and self-harm, drinking and
spiraling
smoking,
downwards thoughts.
It's a
We
it's a sort of choose your own adventure game. We know there's lots of endings. If you choose things wrong or right, you might get to the bank robber scene where Kirby becomes a sort of escaped murderer.
I know you know all about that one, Jones.
Breaking from the ad read now, that was great. We got through the script. Great job, Jacob. And thank you, Kirby, for the sponsor. I want to talk a bit about this because we're all fans. We're all huge fans of Kirby, right? Game Explain. Did you guys see Game Explain posted the Windows 98 Easter egg in the new Kirby game? In Kirby's room, he has a computer that runs on Windows 98, and people cracked the code from beating the game in all 7 endings with the 7 different deaths. If you beat all of them, you can type in a code, and there's a fully functioning Windows 8 with a web browser and with a TXT file with Kirby's suicide note.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And they say it was actually the real suicide note of the developer of the game who tragically committed suicide 4 days before the game's release. And so they really quickly coded up this patch and put it in there and sent it out as the first unofficial update.
Mm-hmm.
So
not even the higher ups knew that this was happening. So we don't know if this is going to get patched out, but the footage is online.
Mm-hmm.
It's super sad.
Yeah, it's really sad. You can tell that Nintendo was furious about that update. They were going on a massive rant on their Facebook page, posting all kinds of things and just middle finger. They were responding with pictures of middle fingers to everyone who commented on any of the posts on their page because the PR guy was just so angry.
They were tagging the family members of the person that passed away and personally calling them out and sending death threats to them, telling people, hey, send terrible things to these people. That's like,
we know how Nintendo is.
Yeah. And they were
whatever.
They were posting their
Nintendo.
addresses on 4chan, and they were telling
confirming
everyone
it was them.
Mm-hmm. And lists. They were posting lists of all the family members' personal insecurities that they got from their therapists, and just posting them and telling everyone to make fun of them for it. So it was really a bit of a PR disaster for Nintendo, I think. But eventually they found the guy. He kept on changing the password, and he was basically changing the password, making the post as fast as the other Nintendo execs could click "Forgot my password" button. But eventually they got a real speedy typer. They actually got the world typing champion to outbeat him in the "Forgot my password" box, and they were able to get the account back.
This is all before the game is even released. There's only been review copies given out. So Nintendo is presented with a dilemma and not sure if they should be sending the game out or if they're going to do a patch, like an online firmware patch to it. But, thank you for giving us the ad read. You know, we'll promote it anyways, but we do keep it open on the podcast. We want to address any controversies. Nintendo said we could say whatever we wanted to, as long as they can have full permission to talk about us on their Facebook page. So maybe after this episode goes up, we'll see about that.
I'm just kind of wondering if Nintendo has seen my therapist, or else, you know, we might have some issues.
Well, they're
there.
known for dropping in recorders
Yeah.
and the couch components.
Yeah.
They're pretty hooked in with all of this kind of stuff. So Nintendo, they have a lot of technologists. They can access the security cameras at basically
Right.
any building. This is all well known. And generally everyone's fine with it because they just use it to make great games. But this is just kind of one instance of something going awry.
Yeah, speaking of great games, I heard that the therapist was actually the model for Mr. White in Phoenix Wright. I don't know if you guys played that one, but yeah, therapists, they
I haven't
are
played that.
indeed shady characters.
I haven't played that one.
I'm sorry, the Mr. White in Phoenix
don't
Wright,
like
he
to-
actually
I don't
he
like
Great game.
bribes
You
everyone.
may know him a little better as Mr. Bean from Mr. Bean.
Oh yeah, Mr. Bean is a good one.
I don't like talking about games I haven't played. So if we could move on.
I'm sorry, Jones.
So if we could move on.
What games have you played?
I've only played Monty Python's Holy Game for the PS1. That's the only game I've played, and it's the best game, and no one else thinks so. I sworn as a kid that I would never play another game. So all games that I'm quote unquote fans of, I've been fans of through watching Let's Plays and long plays on the dark web.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, you picked a good one because the PS1 version, there's not a better one.
Oh, you're familiar with the game?
Oh, most certainly. I've played all the editions. Big fan.
I'm glad that you think PS1 port is the best. Too many people
yeah.
think the MS-DOS port is the superior one.
Imagine
But it runs at like
MS-DOS.
5 FPS.
Yeah, man.
You
MS-DOS
can't even
only
get
has
through the
characters.
trivia segments without the game glitching and stuttering with the vocal samples and the bitrate crashing down, and then my computer starts to set on fire. I have to get the fire extinguisher and then the compressed air, but I don't have the pipe to put on the compressed air, so I have to just use it without the pipe, which isn't as effective, and then I have to call the ambulance because my leg is bleeding because it's on fire.
See, I personally kind of like the DOS version because they took out all of the sex scenes for the PlayStation version, but I will admit that the characters are a lot more developed in that version, though not quite developed in the way I'd want them to be, if you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
I still think FPS over everything else, man. It runs at 120 FPS on the PS1 version undocked.
Well, you could go crazy with the Commodore 64 one. It's not got any of the features of all of them, but they're sort of
There's
all
no
a
graphics
good
on that. It's
middle
completely
ground, yeah.
text-based.
Yeah, well, enough text to, you know, be graphic, if you know what I'm saying.
They did have ASCII art in that.
They might have ASCII art in that one. They might.
What do you mean they might?
Well,
I
they
thought you
might.
said you knew shit about this game.
Oh, I know everything about this game, actually. I studied it. It's history about
I'm
video
starting to
games.
feel like you're a fake fan.
Oh, I am no fake fan of any Monty Python games out there.
Who was the voice actor for the main character of the game, Gerald Phillips?
Gerald Phillips? Oh, give me 1 second. I gotta think
You
about
would know. You would know right away if you're in the
actually,
fandom.
no, that's the thing. Because he also voiced in Titanfall 2. I know you haven't played that video game, but he voiced
That is
every
not even
character.
true.
I
That is not even true. I study his IMDb page.
You studied his IMDb. Well, I think you should check it.
I
It's
think
been updated
I think
recently.
what's happening here is actually the game detects whether you're running on actual hardware or on an emulator and changes the voice actor.
Yeah, I do emulate quite often. I can't afford all
So
those
you're a
fancy
fake fucking
PS1s.
fan. You haven't even
yeah.
played the same game that we're talking about here. You've
What's
played something
different
completely
between
different,
the
an
emulated
inferior version.
versions? What's in the emulated versions? What's the
The,
difference here?
the emulated version changed more than just the voice acting, dude. And you would fucking know that if you've been on the wiki.
I haven't been on the wiki, man. I've only been on the Wikipedia article. And that's not deep enough.
The Wikipedia article literally says at the top that it's missing and it's incomplete, dude. You can't just go off of that. That's like watching a YouTube essay and thinking that you know how to cook something afterwards. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Well, the only recipes I know are from Binging with Babish. Actually, I've actually made every one of his recipes. They didn't come out nearly
Yeah,
as
way
good.
to just talk about something else.
Yeah.
Way to just defer the
Because actually, I love
conversation.
cooking.
All right, we're
I
getting
love cooking
we're getting
and
a,
video
we're getting a little
essays.
heated here. I think we should probably bring it back to
Yeah, we don't want to melt the butter.
to the history, to the past blaster. Jenny's giving me some
Actually,
looks. We're starting to get.
Speaking of heat, how warm is the shower water now? You've been in there
Margie.
for quite a while.
Sorry. Margie, get the fuck. What would you ask?
I was just wondering how hot is the shower's temperature since we were talking about being heated? Because I assume after being in there for such a long period of
No.
time. Yeah.
We don't have water in here.
Interesting. So you aren't indeed.
We have it in the
pruning?
sink, but we just
Oh. All right.
it's kind of cold, and there's like we have a garden, like a home garden. We call it the shower room, but like I live there.
Usually, when we call it the shower room, the type of people who refer to it as the shower room when they come over, also they tend to be friends of mine. They refer to Jones as the shower guy.
Right. Because I live there. Because you have to
beautiful
be in the
place to
bunk
live.
room. You have to be in the bunk room because of what's going on with my sister, dude.
Yeah, she's a lot more
It's the
comfortable.
only thing that we can do.
She's a lot more comfortable with me than with you, because she thinks that I'm her actual brother. So it's really the only way it could be, and we can't afford somewhere
I know.
with 2 bedrooms. But I mean, you were telling me recently you kind of just like it in the bathroom, right? It seems like it really matches with your personality a lot more.
Being stuck on here, I can be on the wall, in the shower, sometimes even on the ceiling, pretending I'm a spider about to attack my prey, who is Margie. We do a lot of crazy shit in here, man. And let me tell you, taking the sink water, splashing it everywhere, getting a pool tube floaties on, and a necklace with a water capsule in it that makes it instantly hot, instant boil water.
Yeah,
It's fun.
Jones,
I love it.
Jones always used to say a lot of potty humor. So it's just a great bonus that he can basically do it all the time. I remember back in the later days of high school and college, the teacher would ask a question and then he would raise his hand and then he would just start yelling toilet words, and the class
right.
got a laugh out of it the first couple times. But really, Jones got a laugh out of it every time. He would do it basically every day and every chance. And when the teacher stopped calling
Right.
on him, he would just yell it.
Oh, yeah. Give it my all.
He's a real prankster. So let's talk a little bit more about history stuff. We have some viewer questions. We'll go through a bunch more viewer questions as we start to wrap up the podcast. So let's talk. We have a question from.
Do you want to read the one from Mega Wario Fan?
I'll leave that one to you.
Okay, yeah, I can read that.
Because
one.
I know you've been sort of like thinking about that one yourself. We have a question from Landon B. Landon B says, "What are the best 3 genocides in history? Which were the best ones?"
Oh, the best one. I'll have to say the Cambodia one is definitely my favorite one.
Why is that?
Cambodia, it's a funny word. You ever say Cambodia? Try it out.
Cambodia. Yeah, it's
You
pretty.
should try it
funny.
out, Jones.
Makes my tongue tickle.
Yeah. Cambodia. Yeah. Say it.
It reminds me of Little Bo Peep. Have you heard of this story?
I have heard of
She
this
was
story.
actually in Toy Story. It started blowing up after that.
That's right.
Hey, Jones, have you tried saying Cambodia?
Cambodia?
Yeah. I said it now. It's good. Yeah.
So what are
What?
he gets really he starts getting really weird when you ask him to just say words. He sort of starts to dissociate the meaning of the words from the sounds of the words themselves. So generally, if you want him to say something, you just kind of have to get him to use it in a sentence, and then we can clip it out.
Cambodia.
So let's talk about genocides 2 and 3. Right. This
Genocides
was
2 and
indeed a
3.
3-part question.
Oh yeah. Well, I think the second one is definitely the one on all the Redditors. That's a good genocide.
I don't know if I heard about this.
It was actually quite recently when they banned the Donald Yeah.
Oh,
All the
yeah?
Redditors, they had some heart attacks. It was kind of crazy.
That's pretty horrifying.
And then the third good genocide out there, like Cambodia, the sequel. They made a movie about it actually. Only the sequel came out.
Oh yeah, I heard about that, and they called it they
everyone
called it
was dead from the
Shining
first
Stars in the Sky.
Yeah.
They really made it into a romance novel, a romance novel flick. I know all the chicks loved it, and a lot of the guys, they would get dragged to the theater for this romance book, and they were like, "Here we go with the Notebook 2." With the Notebook 3 is what they thought they were going to see, and they were pleasantly surprised when they saw all these horrific scenes of genocide, because guys love that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Guys love all this racial
Guys do
cleansing.
love that.
We're guys, we
It's
get it.
just
The girls,
amazing.
they
Yeah.
just want to see kissing, and they want to see
Long,
cute
long
little
land.
animals and fluffy, and the guys, the boys, we just want to see blood and guts and gore. We want to see human suffering. We want to see loss of innocence and just
Mass genocide.
mass genocide
Yeah.
and slaughter.
It's a guy thing.
It's absolutely a guy
Yeah.
thing.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
It's unexplainable. Unless you're a guy.
It's just in our nature.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. Yeah.
I pretty much see genocide, and then sports and beer are kind of the trinity of just guy stuff.
Oh yeah.
Well, you
It
can think
contributes
about
to your behavior.
genocide actually, since you're above Gen E right now. Think there's any correlation?
Well, Jenny is inside, so that's kind of a little pun on words that's relevant to the situation.
Haha, yeah.
I can see, if I look down, I can see Jenny's side because she lies on her side while she watches. She puts
But-
her laptop sideways because the screen actually goes right side up. She
You're not-
she accidentally
you're
locked the
not-
screen to sideways a while ago, and no one's been able to figure out how to get it unlocked.
You're not inside Jenny, are you?
Absolutely not.
Okay, because
I would never.
we've talked about that.
Yeah, I know you keep on asking me to, and I know
I know.
I won't do it unless you're there. But I don't think I'm
Because
ready
I've been
yet.
telling you to wait. I've been in the glue for, been in this glue stuff for a while, but I still want it to happen,
It'll happen.
whether it's on or off air.
Will happen one day. Maybe we can make a special out of it.
Yeah, we can do it. I'm fine with that.
Mhm.
You want to do a special?
Yeah, we could.
We can
could
have that as our next episode.
we could stream that on YouPorn.
Yeah, it sounds good. I already have our account set up from when we talked about this
Yeah,
years ago.
I've been using it. Don't check the watch history. That's personal.
I'll refrain.
Some good stuff in there actually.
So Mega Wario fan wants to know. He says, "Hey J2." A lot of people calling you that today. Is that like a meme or something?
Yeah, that was a meme back in the day. You know when impact font was a big thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
There was only so much space you could fit in those, so if you just wrote J2 instead of Jacob, the great name itself, save some
Right.
character space.
Mega Wario fan writes, "Hey J2, I'm a huge fan of your Dream Mega History Theater series on your website. I'm not familiar with this, so I don't know if you want to talk about that. But he goes to say, I've created my own fan version of it here. He posts a SoundCloud link of him covering one of your songs from this series that you used to run. I can play that as the outro song because it's actually in WMA format, and that only works in the editing software. You're only able to insert that in after the podcast, and it also plays an extremely scary default video, like stock footage at the end. It's really weird.
It's
but
also
we can play it,
there's
but
a bit of an issue in that it can only play it at half speed because we actually run this podcast at double
Right.
the sample rate that almost any other software uses. So when we try to play this, it'll run it in half speed. But
yeah, inserting media is a nightmare.
Yeah.
It always makes it way too slow. But I sent it to you. It's on the portal. If you want to give it like a quick listen, it is only 20 seconds long. You can do that real quick while I talk. You can click play right now. I'll keep talking about
Let me
it.
play real quick.
Yeah. So I don't know about you. I don't know about you, Rich, but I'm really curious to see what this series is. Have you heard of this series?
oh, the series on Jacob's website.
Yeah, have you heard about the series on Jacob's
It's
website?
crazy. It was actually a cash grab.
I've heard about it.
Yeah.
I had it playing in the background a couple of times. I used the text to speech to see the subtitles, so I didn't have to listen
I've
to
never
it.
heard about this. I've never heard about this.
Because my uncle smashed my headphones, so I was only able to see the subtitles. But there was a lot of good information about there. It kind of got a little dicey at some parts, I think, because of the automated translation wasn't doing very good. It was telling me there were a lot of just insults being flown at the screen, but I think that might have been the job of the Google Translate thing. It's well known that I was watching it in the Serbian translation because I couldn't figure out how to get the English to English one. So it's well
You had
known.
a tweet about that blew up.
It's well known that the Google English to Serbian translation, it seems the translators there like to play little pranks. They like to throw really off-color insults in there. You got to have a really tough gut if you want to stick around to that. It'll have really high self-esteem because you'll come out, if you go in with a high one, you'll come out with a normal one.
I
But
didn't know the translation error was affecting the series.
Well,
I've heard you talk about this issue before.
I was just feeding it through a digital virtual audio cable into an audio magnifier, and that was what was going back to the Google servers via translation and coming back
right. Okay.
via FTP.
Okay.
So it's kind of a hacked together setup, but it works well enough. At least would work better for Serbians. I'm still kind of learning it myself. I keep on having to check the Rosetta
Still
Stone to see what's
tweaking
going
the
on.
ones and zeros.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. So what is this series, Jacob? If you can talk about it, you said it was a cash grab or something.
Yeah, it really was a cash grab because everyone knows me, the big J2. Kind of hard to
just
talk
learned
about
that one today.
Yeah, it's actually something I've tried to move on from. We have had the controversy about the trolls. Obviously, I wasn't in all the Indiana Jones movies, and they brought me a lot of money, so I had a period where it was really sad. Actually, I was trying to get all the money in the world, trying to get every last dollar of every currency.
Wow.
And,
Wow.
yeah. It turns out PayPal, they wouldn't let me.
Did the residuals
yeah.
help with that? Or
A
do you
little
get
bit, yeah.
residuals?
Yeah. Some from the conversion rate. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, but I've moved on from that period. That's why my newer series, it's still in progress, but it's been out for a while. It's a Pokemon documentary, actually. I believe in that one a lot more. But this other series, yeah, it was a bit of a cash grab, but there was some soul. I had a team of people working on it. They weren't paid, of course, because I wanted the money. But yeah.
Does the
It was interesting.
Pokemon one have anything to do with history?
The history of Pokemon, so it goes back to, the creation of Pokemon, thinking about the bugs that the game directors, they all love playing with bugs, and that's sort of how Pokemon came about, to bring more kids to love exploring.
Those little
But
buggers.
Well, I thought Pokemon
Yeah.
started originally back in the 1840s with the novel series scrawled on stone tablets that they uncovered at archaeological sites, and then it was kind of just whisked away over time into the unrecognizable form it is today. So it really depends on who you ask when exactly
Yeah.
Pokemon started.
yeah, it's more contemporary Pokemon. It's nothing too
Okay.
crazy.
I see.
Okay.
I'm not
So you're
going back
telling me
far.
that it's like a half-assed product?
Oh no, it is anything
Well,
but
no,
that.
I'm not fucking around. I'm just saying, like, are you cutting corners on this, or?
No, we're cutting things, but they're not corners. We're cutting the rounds because we don't want anything that we're unsure of. We want the facts and nothing but the facts. Of course, if you guys have seen YouTube essays, we only use facts.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah,
I've seen them.
yeah. I only like facts in mine. Anything that might be construed as not fact, we cannot include that.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we're almost running out of time here, so we're going to wrap it up with the rapid wrap-up question rapid fire section. So
Fire.
we're just going to be shooting you. We're just going to be shooting you some questions. We're going to see what your response is. We're going to see where it takes us.
Aye, Captain.
Yeah, let's see what happens. All right. So I'm going to
Let's
shoot you.
get into
I'm going to
it.
shoot you some rapid fire questions. We just want you to answer. All right.
Yeah, shoot me. Yeah.
All right. How tall are you?
Over 11.
How much do you weigh?
Too much.
What was the funniest episode of SpongeBob when it was on TV?
That's a good question. I would have to say the one where he takes out the trash with the hash slinging slasher, but it's just me.
Have you ever touched someone's belly button?
I have.
Have you ever illegally stolen things from a government property in a felony way?
Well, you guys said we're honest on this podcast, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Then yes, I have.
Can you give us the exact location and where you did it and why and when?
It was actually in New York. As you know, it's really hard to come by some things in New York. So all of the government buildings, I raided all of them. Actually, I stole their pens.
Have you ever cheated on a test or a woman?
Yes, one of those.
Tell us a little more rapidly.
One of those.
Okay, but get to the point.
A little racy here.
Yeah, get to the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Quicker.
Okay.
Well,
It's getting a little heated now.
see, it was asking a lot of questions, and it was asking a lot of questions, so I had to cheat
Do you wear socks?
sometimes.
Where do you
wear
think
shoes?
where do you think clouds come from?
Water.
How do you
Science,
think
history.
we all got here?
Water?
What do you mean?
Well, we're like 70% water, right? So obviously we had water had.
I don't think that's been verified.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that.
I've heard a lot of journals reference that, but I guess I never checked the
Yeah,
reference. site.
I mean, this is what happens when you're in the academic communities: is they just spew the same bullshit over and over. No one checks it. Sorry,
Yeah.
bull snap.
Bull hack.
Please cut that out, Craig. Otherwise, we're
Bull
gonna lose our
honky, yeah.
sponsor.
Yeah, please,
correct,
please
yeah.
cut it out.
Yeah.
He has.
So
have you
you're really
seen-
pushing
he
this
hasn't-
water
He
theory?
hasn't.
I like water. Tastes good.
I don't know if I believe the water theory.
What's your counter theory?
Well, obviously Minecraft is so close to real life that you
You're
think
right.
the person who made Minecraft might know a little bit how real life is made. And how are people made in Minecraft? You just spawn in.
You're right. That is
And
correct.
what's different between that and the real world?
There's water
Maybe
in Minecraft.
someone made Minecraft,
What
but
you?
maybe
So you're saying
maybe it's real.
It just happened. We just appeared.
I'm saying there's no respawn button in real life.
There isn't. So why would we?
I mean,
just
when babies get bigger,
spawn
babies
in the
start
beginning?
small and get bigger. So that's what's happening the entire time, all the way back.
Yeah, but you didn't even think about this, that babies can get smaller.
Why
That
would
can
they get
happen.
smaller?
They can get
Malnourishment.
smaller from the reversa gene in your brain. If you would
That was
do
just a
any
movie.
bit of research.
That was just a movie.
Was that not real?
Benjamin Buster?
Benjamin.
You seen Benjamin Buster's Magic Adventure?
Yeah, I saw that
the
on
Crazy
CBS.
Life
Is
of
that not-
Benjamin Buster?
Was that not real?
No.
But it was on TV. They put it on there, right? Like, you're not allowed to put something on there. It's not real, right?
Yeah, it must have been
Yeah.
illegal.
They might not have known at the time.
Oh my god. I don't know what to believe anymore, man. You know, I thought thought this was supposed to be like just a fun history podcast and we'd get
You gotta
together.
stay woke.
But
Hey.
I don't know what to believe anymore, dude.
You be quiet about this. Stay woke with your water theories.
Whoa.
If
Yeah,
we're made of
what-
water,
what
why
do
would
you
we?
have to
If we're
say?
made of so much water, why do I have to drink tons of water and I'm constantly running out of it?
I don't know. I mean, you go to
And there's
the
so
bathroom,
much
right?
around it,
Yeah.
and guess what? The guys tell me, "Oh, you can't drink it." Maybe how else am I supposed to get the water? You can't drink it? What else is water for? To look at it?
Yeah, it looks beautiful. You ever seen a sunset on the ocean? Yeah.
They
That's
they
the
actually-
It's
sun.
because every human's beautiful. Am I wrong?
The sunset's
Am I
not
right?
on the ocean. The sunset's behind the ocean.
and the water reflections aren't even real because it's fake. The things that are reflecting are real. The reflections aren't even real.
Is
They're
anything
about
real?
as
It's called a
they're about as
mirage.
bullshit as a
What's
picture
real?
on my monitor.
Is anything real? Are
Have you
humans
heard
real?
of
Do we-
photons? Look it up.
All right, one second. let me look that up real
Electrogenic
quick.
waves. Basic science, physics, first grade stuff. It should be in your head already by now. And if it's not, I don't know if I feel comfortable with having you on this podcast.
Maybe we just won't release this one.
I don't think we should release this. Are you fine? Are you fine with that, Rich? We just don't release this one.
Yeah, this one has just kind of been a disaster the entire time. I mean, I've been trying not to show it, but it's
Yeah, it's a tough one. Yeah.
enough.
Craig, just delete all your work if you've started on this.
I'm just
Craig
I'm
actually
just
didn't
deleting the
start.
recording.
I'm
Craig
just hitting
forgot.
end. I'm hitting end.